From ContainerDays Hamburg, this video is proudly presented by DAX IT.
Shortly to my slide, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Yeah, as mentioned, Engin Diri, working at Pulumi. I worked before also for some German enterprises like the Schwarzgruppe or the Wüstenrot, so I have also some insights for things and for pain. So I was forged by the fires of enterprise, so that's very useful in my day-to-day job. Okay, GitOps. The good part is when you are the last talk of the day, people already knew some of the terms. So even when you're fresh in the area, you may heard about GitOps because a lot of people talked about GitOps recently now with Jansu. Before also GitOps is an elementary part. So yay, GitOps the way to go. But here comes the thing now. What I really love to do is let's talk about some of the GitOps principles because you will see. Wait, why I'm asking for this and. I swear to God, I love this slide. So this slide is very perfect when you ask the audience and you say, can somebody of you remind me please of the GitOps principles? And I swear to God, independent which country you are, it's always like this. People are like, whoo. So let's try this again. I know we have the Slido stuff and so on, so please don't edit to Slido and say, hey, these are the GitOps principles. So please, what are the GitOps principles? I'm really happy. I have them here. I know them. I can spoil them. And if nobody is reacting, then I will just spoiler them. But can somebody give me one of the GitOps principles? Wow, that was good. Let me see if I have this. Yeah, versioned and immutable. Yes. Another one. Sorry? Yes, that's fine. And the last one, I mean, I don't have them in the order as you said them, but yeah, pulled automatically. So pulled, I think Artem was it, also mentioned this with push and pull CI/CD versus GitOps. And of course, what you said, continuous reconciled. So yeah, that's nice. So how does it look like then in practice? Yeah, we create now a Git repository here. We also mentioned about the apps of app pattern and all the stuff. So we just put here our application in, pointed to Argo CD or your choice of GitOps engine. It could be Flux or there are some, what was the one on Rancher? I forgot the name because nobody is using it. And honestly, was it Fleet? I think, yeah, Fleet was it. So yeah, forgot about this one. That's dead. And then we have Argo, and yeah, we have our guestbook application. Yeah, we're happy, and everybody is like, look at this. I did GitOps, and yeah, we can go home. So that's it. So the end of the day. But here comes the point, and we know everybody, this kind of person, maybe you are this kind of person in your company who's like, wait a minute, actually. So what is the actually thing? So what does the person say here? He says, okay, but we only sync now to dev or to one stage, name it as you want it. And reality is there are more than one environment, depending on the company. I just mentioned before, I worked for an enterprise company. You cannot have enough stages in between you and productive because everybody has their saying and has to give their, in German we say, was it Kaiser Wilhelm or something like this, your signature and then your button click and so on. And there's always an Excel sheet to fill out. So there are a lot of environments. In best case, you may have a little bit less stuff because actually you only find issues, again, only on productive. And now it's the question, how do we promote beyond dev? So that's one of the things. And here people become really creative. At the beginning, I was a little bit like, that's maybe not good and so on, but you will see now what I mean now with getting a little bit more wisdom and age and working. So the creativeness looks most of the time like this. So people, I love this image also, and I think a lot of people use it because it really displays the madness in some companies when it comes to all the CI/CD pipelines and promoting. So you will see one approach here, and then you see another approach where people just throw in also some GitOps, GitOps flows, Git flows and all the stuff. So a lot of things happened. some are creative, some are born out of the need, and some are just made to get it work, and then nothing is for long than a provisorium, we say in German. I don't know, translation doesn't sound good. So the term for this is the whole CI Kung Fu. So, and I have to be honest, I did the same. So because at the time when we started here in Jenkins and whatever, GitOps was not really a big thing. But now with GitOps, the question is there not a better way to promote infrastructure a little bit more the GitOps way? And here we come now to this subject here of calling it promotion patterns, to say, okay, promotion patterns describes here the ways to implement environments or stages, as you name it, some tool call it stages, with GitOps. And yeah, process referred as promotion. And how do we realize environments in GitOps? So that's a central question here. Okay, so promotion patterns describing the stages and how we can achieve this. So now we come to the point and say, let's talk the different options, how we can fill up these different environments using the promotion patterns. And there are 4 ways to handle this. So we mentioned this. We have Kargo, we have GitOps Promoter, Telefonistika, and then, of course, our famous DIY solution. So Kargo, and we will see this a little bit more in demo. So here with Kargo, we have it's a project, it's an open source project from the good people of Acuity. That's one of the competing companies who try to monetize Argo CD. Then we have also the CodeFresh, or now they called Okta Deploy or something like this, who tried to make a dime out of Argo CD. But they created here Kargo. It's open source, it follows the GitOps principles, it's completely combined. It handles different type of artifacts, container images, which is very convenient. But what I like also, Helm charts and also vanilla Kubernetes manifests. A nice feature here, and this is something when we worked, for example, with OpenShift, the UI of OpenShift helped us a lot to continue the story of Kubernetes, because it helped for people to understand what's going on. And the same goes with Kargo. It has a nice UI, and it has the way to do manual and automatic promotions. And again, enterprise background, people love their button. They need to click on something. So you can enable this. You can say, okay, everything before prod is still with a button click. But we can also automate this depending on some metrics we collect from Datadog or from Prometheus and so on. And of course, it has native integration for Helm, customize Argo CD, obviously, because the company is working on Argo CD, and hopefully maybe Flux for the people who are using Flux. Okay, that's Kargo. Then recently it started also that the folks around the Argo project labs, I mean the open source community around Argo, also created here a tool called the GitOps Promoter. And they do some interesting things here. So they have a specific dry branch that they go the way to say, okay, but you could do this also with Kargo to say, okay, let's save for every environment, we create a dedicated branch, an environment branch here, have it dry. Sorry, I should not have drank the energy drink. You use standard PR checks for each promotion. You will see this in action, how does it works. And of course, the promoter, the tool behind this, they never edit your source. It uses this kind of hydration process where it generates, you can call it like a Helm template, you know, running the thing, and then the result which gets created, the huge YAML manifest at the end, gets saved into a specific branch. And this thing called the manifest hydration, it's really, really cool. Before, okay, let's come to the historical part. Before, there was always the thing like, if you use GitOps, don't use branches for your environments. It was a big no-no to say, hey, use a branch, because here comes the point. People thought about this. If I can create branches, maybe I need to merge it back into my main branch, for example. It could lead to some issues and all the stuff. So it was a thing. There were talks about this to say, use folders inside your Git repository. The whole customized stuff come up where you can create different overlays, and they say, use the folders or different value YAML and so on. So it was not really something we wanted to use environments, but here with this manifest hydration, it really goes into it to say, yeah, now branches makes completely sense here. So we're going to extend the template, whatever logic is behind this with the Golang and the inside Helm and all the magic going on. It doesn't care. We generate out of this Helm chart, for example, the final manifest and save it in a specific branch. And if there's an update in the Helm chart, we just compare if there's a change. So we can say, okay, maybe there's no change inside the logic, but maybe the owner changed something, and it could lead to a downtime of one of the servers we may not see because of the obvious thing of running it in a directly inside our GitOps engine and not using here the hydrated manifest approach. And so we can really see here any changes, any misconfigurations, because everything gets rendered. That's what I just mentioned here. So render the Helm and customize and then save it and then point your GitOps engine to the specific branch. And then you have really cool approach. And here the benefits of this, what I mentioned also, so the pull request really shows you now the changes. You will see this in detail. You can create your immutable history of your cluster state. Troubleshooting is very easy. As I mentioned again, you don't need to dig through the release history of the Helm chart or whatever you're doing. You can instantly see, okay, I use version 1, version 1.1, and there is a change. I compare the rendered manifests with each other, and I can instantly see that there was a change, even if it was not announced in the release notes and so on. Okay. So that was the hydrated manifest, because you see this in the example of GitOps Promoter. That's very important. Then we have Telefonistika, and I didn't create any demo about this because I think the project slowly dies. At the time when it was presented, I really liked the idea because it makes the same approach. It's not only bound to GitOps, you can use it for everything. It's really infrastructure as code agnostic. It works with Terraform, Helm files, and so on, and makes here the pull requests and compare them again with the rendered, and then you see the changes. But I think it's not that active anymore, so I will not even talk about this more in the demo part. And then we have the DIY solution. So you do you. That's absolutely up to you. Something with Jenkins, because why not? A lot of bash scripts. And the most horrible part is you probably are stuck with it forever as long as it's in play because you created this. And with a high chance, you will start to hate the solution and probably change the team or leave the company because, yeah, somebody invested into this and you have to keep. So that's the DIY solution. I don't have it with you because that's fine. Okay, so let's go to the demo part. Oops, maybe I should also link here the link. So there where you see the demo code. Okay, so oops. Why you're so slow? Okay, again. So have a look into this. It runs on a DigitalOcean cluster as an example, and you will see some Pulumi code because why not? Hashtag normalize the usage of Pulumi for demos. And where is this now? This place. So let me stop the mirroring. Okay. So that's easier for me. So, okay. There will be code now, so if you're really not into code, you probably have the chance now to leave. So, okay, so I created here the structure. Again, I have a folder for all the infrastructure. Really, I mentioned there's a Pulumi code creating your DigitalOcean cluster. That's one thing. You can use whatever infrastructure as code you want to use. The second one, I called it here the base tool. What I do here in the base tool is, again, just execute Argo CD in a minimal setup because I like a match. I want to ignite Argo CD and say, hey, please start with, where is it? Here with the initial objects, install them, and head over to the GitOps folder where all the declaration of my additional tools and things I'm going to use are inside. So using Terraform or Pulumi as your provisioning of the cloud infrastructure, and then using this GitOps bridge pattern to say, okay, I prepare everything with infrastructure as code, maybe setting also some IAM user and whatever to my service accounts, and then let GitOps do the lifting. So separating here the stuff. And what I did here again, as you can see, going here to the GitOps folder and say, let's install now your tools. So let's have a look into the GitOps folder. And as you can see, I have here the base tools, Argo CD itself, because I want that Argo CD manages itself via GitOps, so I can change here the versions, for example, and use the ignition. I put the value, the version on ignore, so you don't get a drift in your IAC tool when you updated Argo CD via your GitOps tool, and so on and so on. And last thing, installing here now the promotion tools. So Kargo, and have a look into Kargo, using here the application, and then setting up some properties. So this is fairly basic, and let's have a look how this looks like in detail when I show you the application. So, and where are you? Okay, so let's start with Kargo. So this is what you got when you start your Kargo application and you create your structure. I created here, let's have a look into the promotion app details. Also, I said Kargo is completely GitOps compliant and Kubernetes native. So I use here the CRs provided from the Argo project, and I can start now to create my project and my stages, my warehouses. And here we come to the definition of warehouse. And you see everything here is configurable to your flow. If you say, hey, I want to have parallel flows, I want different patterns, you can all activate them on your own. What I did here is very simple. I created one warehouse and let it point to a Git repository and say, hey, check periodically or on button click if there is a new version of something, in this case, a new Git commit. And then I also started to model here my flow. I made once a demo of Kargo where I had a little bit more fancier with a fan out after a specific stage to say, hey, yalla, go. But that was completely, that depends on you. So I have the dev stage, and I have the prod stage and the QS stage, and I can then say, hey, let's promote one, or make it auto-promote, so I can set up and say everything after QS gets automatically roll out, or everything after a specific canary prod location, I can say everything after this gets also automatically, because I know when this prod is working, the other ones are also working. And I have also here my Argo CD. As you can see, I have here the different applications, and they are really, really fine. So let's change. Let's open the application. And let's get the IP address here. Okay, so that's Mr. Potato Head. And we can see the developers tried something new or accidentally slipped something, and Mr. Potato Head has an alien tentacle arm now. That's not something what we would like. So let's change this. So we go into our application here, the app folder. Let's assume that's a little bit more sophisticated application. And it's not like changing here a value, but I will do this here now and say, okay, let's fix the issue with Mr. Potato Head and give it a go. And you see, I use AI because I'm lazy. So okay, and we push the change YOLO to main. That's what we love to do. And now we can go to Kargo and say, you don't need to click, but we see, hey, there's a new commit, maybe a new Helm chart, a new container. As I mentioned, Kargo can handle more than one artifact type. So I can click now on this and say, hey, let's promote this specific version of whatever artifact to our first stage. And YOLO. And we see the steps I created there. So it clones and makes some Helm template and so on and so on. At the end of the day, it deployed now. We see this Git commit is now bound to the stage. And let's see if we... that's timing. My wife calls me. That's, she has really the best timing. So, and then why are you not answering? Okay. So now, dev, you see, it looked into the specific stage /dev, and if we have a look into our branches, we see, yes, there was a change in stage dev, and we see the rendered manifest, as I mentioned again. So everything is nicely rendered. You saw I used the Helm chart. And if I look now into Mr. Potato Head, yeah, he has now 2 arms. He's not a mutant anymore. So I can go now and say, yo, let's promote everything. And you see, just bang, go to QS and promote. As here, I can select now a specific one, but I want to use the one I promoted from upstream. Upstream is the stage before. And he's also going through this, yo, that's fine. Let's because I don't have any hooks installed. Where is it? Let's refresh this by hand and this by hand. No, that's the GitOps Promoter. You see, I make an error and then wonder why it's not working. Out of sync, that's what we expected. And let's see, I forgot to show you prod that there's the alien arm, so please try. You have to trust me on this one that, and yeah, prod has also a thing. Okay, that was one thing. So how does it look like? That's the Kargo way, very convenient. Have a look into the Kargo documentation. There's much, much more you can do. You can connect it to Datadog. You can automatically roll back and so on. So all the fancy stuff we need for a more real life scenario. So let's have a look how it would look like in promotion. Okay, so GitOps, how do you say this? The GitOps Promoter is already configured using a GitHub application. So if I look into the settings, there should be here a GitHub app. And as you see, my GitOps Promoter app, everything is wired up. You can see it in the documentation. And what it did in the background, so when we look into the project here and have a look into the dev branch, it created here, no, that's Kargo. Where are you? Here. So it kicked off the hydrator, as you saw. So that's the commit I did. And it created a branch, a specific branch. And because I set up, and let me show this now in the example of the promoter. Where are you? I have here a promotion strategy. And I said, everything in dev and QS you can auto-improve. That's fine. But everything on prod, please don't wait with the pull request. We use pull request here as our gate to allow stuff as a human in the loop situation. So when we have a look now into our pull requests, we can see the prod is still open. QS was just merged a couple of seconds ago, and dev was also merged 2 minutes ago because the change already comes and GitOps Promoter made everything for me. So if we go here again into the app, we should see again, I'm sorry I did not show you before, so the arm is right, but I can show you productive now. So the GitOps Promoter prod should have, and please God, be like this, should have the alien arm. So it's still the alien arm going on here. So we saw dev already, somebody approved it and so on. And now the team, the platform engineering team, the product owner, whoever needs to be in charge can go now to our approach and say, let's have a look into the pull request. And as usual, there's no additional information. So that's a really production-like pull request. So, but we see that some checks are already done. No, not there's still the production is synced and healthy. That's nice. So let's squash and merge this one. Confirm squash and merge. So we changed now the productive. And let's have a see to kicking off, to not wait. So we see now, hopefully, yeah, we see there is a change and it promoted now the new artifact. And we should see now, hopefully, yes, a normal arm. So that's, in a nutshell, how these two systems working. You can see now why people would prefer Kargo, for example, for the maximum observability and because it's displays and render stuff which are hard to grasp. For example, I worked with product owners and team leads or project leads who had really difficult time to understand the GitOps way, and they preferred, for example, Argo CD UI and all this stuff. And with Kargo, it's the same. Promotion gets more understandable by seeing the stuff, also having the opportunity to click and reject and so on. GitOps Promoter is a little bit under the hood, a little bit the Flux way. I know they are also working on a UI, so probably in the next versions there will be an UI. And if we head back to the slide, and I will keep it like this. Yeah, so yeah. That's it. There is no recap because everybody should do their own recap and see what tool they may like, and if they are missing it in their stack. And now comes the big thing. Any questions so far? Okay.
If Kargo and GitOps Promoter render, Helm customize, and the upper contains secrets, how do you handle it?
You should not put secrets into your manifest, so there should also always a reference to some secret managing tool and so on. I think there are a lot of choices, external secrets operator, if you're like me and want to keep it as simple. There are other ways, so please, friends, don't let friends commit secrets. Don't do this. And yeah. Let's jump over this.
The next one is Kargo or GitOps Promoter. What do you prefer?
I prefer Kargo because I'm a visual person, and that's the thing with Kargo. But I can see the charm of the GitOps Promoter because here comes the nice thing. I think it will be first-class citizen more embedded into Argo CD. The thing with the hydrator stuff, you only get displayed with a specific flag in your Argo config management config map to activate this. So when they get more mature, I think this will go into the Argo CD UI and will be a first-class citizen there. So maybe GitOps Promoter will be used naturally, and if Red Hat also adopts it for Red Hat GitOps, then you will see people really use this way. But currently, I prefer Kargo, and here comes also the point that with this approval thing. Again, enterprises love this. So
the next one is why Argo itself is not enough.
As you saw, that was the thing with the CI Kung Fu, to say what we wanted to do, or what the aim is here of this tool is to say, let's separate CI from CD and let CI only do what CI has to do, create your artifact, test your stuff, but not have the fingers in the cookie jar of CD and say for CD we have a dedicated approach using either one of the GitOps tools. So that's the thing. So let's separate and let everybody does what they can do the best. CI and CD. So that's one thing. And then you get rid also of this heavy, difficult pipelines you created to promote one artifact, copy whatever you're doing, and keep it very simple and not have this split brain situation. Hey, there's something broken. Where was this? Ah, yeah, it's in our Argo, in our Azure DevOps pipeline.
Okay. Next one is, where would you deploy Kargo when you have 3 clusters, each for one environment, including 3 Argo CD instances not knowing each other?
That's a good point. I'm always a fan of the hub and spoke approach. So what I did, but here in this case, you have to look a little bit more detailed to say, okay, I have one control Argo CD who then uses the application sets to roll out all the applications to the different clusters. That's one approach. And then I would run the Kargo on one. On the control plane cluster, for example, the hub cluster. But yeah, it really depends on how you want to work. If you are happy with this multi-Argo CD thing, then probably you are used to the pain to say, I go into different application, then yeah, deploy Kargo also on the different clusters.
Next one is, can you integrate one of the tools with Backstage?
Yeah, they are completely Kubernetes resource. So if you have the Backstage Kubernetes plugin, you can see the stuff. And I don't know if Kargo has a dedicated plugin like Argo has that you get some informations out of it. Worst case is you use the Kubernetes plugin to show under Kubernetes some of the informations about the promotion and the promotion success. or you write one plugin, why not?
Does GitOps Promoter check the sync status and health of an Argo application before auto-promoting?
I think there was some possibilities to connect to some health status to roll back one. You have to check the documentation for more details, similar to Kargo. That was something, but have a look into the documentation, and then.
How would you promote infrastructure changes in an environment where you also use a GitOps Promoter?
How do you promote infrastructure in an environment where you also use a Git? How do you promote infrastructure? I mean, we're talking now using one of the tools like Crossplane. I don't know if the person who made the question can clarify this. Don't be shy. Ask me. So I did an approach where I used, for example, the Pulumi Kubernetes operator and Crossplane, and then bundled the manifests into a Helm chart and used Kargo, for example, to roll out. I had a little bit trouble to understand, okay, how can I get the informations that the actual resource is healthy? How can I roll this back, for example? So I was a little bit stuck on this side. But as you see, for everything simpler like this or application, which was the original aim of the project's delivering application, having some endpoints and rolling them back via Datadog or GitOps Prometheus works very fine. For infrastructure changes, it's the same problem like Crossplane or whatever, to understand, okay, it maybe worked, but is the thing I created there fully functional? Did the database import after creating a new one worked fine? Have a look. Can't give you here a perfect answer.
Since it got upvoted so much, I think I have to read it out right now. Friendly reminder, don't forget to call back your wife after the session.
Yeah.
And for that, I will leave it in the orange box, and we will just leave it that way.
Yeah, and if she see this recording and she's part of this talk now, maybe I don't have a wife anymore, so that the problem solved itself. So, because how dare you mention me?
Do any of the tools work with Flux?
The GitOps Promoter is independent. No, sorry, I'm just talking now out of my, we say in English. I think there are some tickets around Kargo to make it Flux support. I talked with Christian Hernandez, who's the community lead there, and he's like, hey, if the community is creating a pull request for this, we will not say no to not include this. And the other one you saw using Argo CD, obviously. There is a project for using Flux inside Argo CD, but I'm not sure how this went up after Weaveworks died. I would say currently, from this perspective, no, but maybe Telefonistika is then something for you if you want to use the Flux approach.
Wait a second. Okay, now. How do you handle permissions and who's allowed to promote? NPR or directly in Kargo with some kind of RBAC?
Yes, there are some RBACs going on. So with your PRs, obviously, the tool you are using, there is support for GitLab, support for Azure DevOps, and for GitHub, where you can set up and say this team is allowed to do this. So that's why it's so nice using the approaches we already have. So when you have your PR flows for some things already in place, you can just continue with this. There's no mental change of things you're going. And then, of course, the RBAC stuff and so on. That's something, so you could make it available. You could use it maybe even in your internal dev portal and say developers can then approve it from there. And I use the RBAC inside my IDP to say, okay, when the pipeline is waiting for something, only a specific user can approve this. So yeah, YOLO.
How and who will handle Git tags?
That's a good question. Depends again on the flow you already established in your company to say, okay, as you can see, the tools don't care if you point to a Git tag or do you point to an active branch and so on. So here depends again how you created your artifact and so on. If you use, for example, Git as a base, but then most people use OCI artifacts for this kind of promotion also. So yeah.
Okay, we make one last question. Yeah. All the other questions, you will have to try to find him and talk to him. I'm sorry, there are way too many. Are those GitHub PR checks were from Kargo or something you added?
Are those GitHub PR checks were from Kargo or something? That were from GitOps Promoter. So the GitOps Promoter created the one for Argo. I said, YOLO, go to push it into the specific branch. You are free to go there. But for the PR, it was the GitOps Promoter. And the last question, Kargo works with Flux. Yeah, of course. There is in Kargo, there is an application connection. You could say, Kargo, please change the values in my application manifest. That's what I meant. They have a first-class citizen with this. But if you say, I really want to go only the GitOps way, then yes, of course, you can use Flux there. Okay, then with this said, thanks for being there, the last talk. And yeah.
From ContainerDays Hamburg, this video is proudly presented by Dux IT.